Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is that time again. Welcome in Tuesday afternoon, 4 o'clock hour. Hope everyone is well. Micah Parsons is still a member of the Green Bay Packers. We did not dream it. It's real. It happened. I've seen video of him at practice yesterday. They're off today. But yeah, he's still a member of the Packers. That trade still happened 2-1. Kenny Clark, Micah Parsons. He's here in the middle of his prime. He's not 40 in a Packer. Mid-20s and a Packer. Can you believe it? I certainly can't believe it. I can't wait to see what my next guest thinks because I can't imagine he believed it either.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan with Steve Sparky Fifer.
Here he is, Tom Silverstein, Packers beat writer for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Follow him on Twitter at Tom Silverstein. Tom, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. So when did you get wind that this might happen? And then what did you think when it actually did happen?
I was walking out of the Packers facility. I had just finished my last story for the day and was actually just getting ready to leave the stadium when my phone started to blow up. And I turned around and
went back
started working again. Yep.
So, I mean, everybody, because when I found out, my boss is the one that called me, and I didn't believe him. I hung up the phone. I was like, yeah, right. So I went and I looked, and there was the tweet from Schefter. I was like, hot damn, they actually did it. Like, what was running through your head as you're walking back into the building?
Well, you know, I wasn't 100% surprised that they made a play for it. I figured they would. I just didn't think Dallas was going to trade him. I was just convinced that there was no way Dallas was going to trade him, that you don't trade away players like that, even for 2 first-round draft picks.
Right.
And I definitely didn't think they would trade him to Green Bay, to a competitor, someone they play this year, plus someone that could, you know, by giving them this player could be at the top of the NFC for 3-4 years after this. So that was my biggest really doubt about it, was that Dallas wouldn't do it. But you look at how much it could impact and are they finally going to go all in on a Super Bowl after all these years? It made a lot of sense because very few guys like that become available.
Do we know how much Ed policy played into this? Because I was off, Wednesday through the end of week last week, moving my kid into college. So last Tuesday, I was like, man, if I'm Ed policy, I just walk into Goody's office and be like, look, dude, you got 2 years left. You get this deal done for Micah Parsons, and we'll extend you. And I don't care how this thing turns out, but we need to go for this and try and win this. Is Ed policy that type of guy that might have nudged on Goody to go make this deal?
I don't think so. It makes for a good story.
Yeah, it does.
I don't think it was at all. I think Gutekunst, he said it. I mean, he's been consistent with it that, they want to go for it. And I think they felt like they weren't quite there yet. And making a move like this puts them in that position. And I think the only thing that had to be approved was, do they have the cash and wherewithal to do it, which they do. They have that cash 10 times over. So, it wasn't probably the only thing that needed to be said was, hey, we're thinking about doing this and you okay with it?
The other part about this, when we talk about the fact that they made this deal, was the fact that they not only did they trade Kenny Clark, and to that I was like, okay, fine, you trade Kenny Clark. Yeah, I trade somebody good to get somebody good. And in this case, great. But the fact that they were willing to give up 2 first-round picks, like, I think I could have bet all the money in the world that the Green Bay Packers would never give up multiple first-round picks in any trade before I was dead, Tom.
Well, if you consider you have to start doing I don't know if you want to call them actuarial tables or whatever. The end of the first round is just not the same as drafting in the middle of the first round. And the Packers almost always draft at the end of the first round, or at least in the 20s. And if Micah Parsons does for them what they hope he does, they're drafting in the late 20s and maybe early 30s. So from that standpoint, I think they were thinking it's, as close to 2 second-round picks as it is 2 first-round picks. And they've invested a ton on draft picks through the last 3 years. That's the way they've built. And it's probably, with all that investment, it probably doesn't hurt to start thinking it, in a different way.
Talking with Tom Silverstein, Packers beat writer for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Follow him on Twitter at Tom Silverstein. Joins us here for the Green and Gold update. Sparky with you. Okay, let's talk about his back and what's going on there, because there was a bunch of stuff last night on social media talking about his back issues. Maybe he'll have to get an injection before the game. Now, it was a report too last night. And my thing on this is, if this was something serious, how could they possibly have passed him on his physical?
Yeah, I think this was something to do with protecting the notion that he wasn't hurt during the entire time he was sitting out, because that's going to become a really large issue in, collective bargaining agreement negotiations as it comes about. And, in the future, it could lead to grievances and things like that. And I don't think Micah Parsons wanted, or his agent, especially his agent, because it's pretty obvious that it all came from the agent, because every single national guy who reported exactly the same thing at exactly the same time. It was sent out there to make sure that everybody knew, there was an injury, and that's why he wasn't practicing. So I don't think the Packers were concerned about it, and I don't think they are all that concerned about it now. To me, it sounds like it's the normal process for dealing with a sore back. They got guys who have sore backs now, and I don't think it's any worse than that. So there's some politics behind it. I don't know 100% if it's coming from the Players Association, don't screw us over by, saying he's healthy now, and then it makes us look really bad, like we told you to fake an injury. So I'm not sure where that got. Let's
talk about Dave Melgata and what he means to the Green Bay Packers. I remember back in the day when Jason Kidd was here and Jeff Schwartz was shuttling people in for the Bucks, some of his guys coming in there. It feels like that's kind of what's going on with the Packers now. I mean, you've got McKinney, you've got Love, and now here you've got Micah Parsons. And based on what I was reading earlier today, it sounds like they told him, okay, fine, go ahead, go see if you can find a trade, whatever the case may be. We'll see if we can get something worked out. And to not my surprise that he went to Green Bay to go help out his guys in Green Bay. There's worse agents to have a relationship with than this guy right now, currently in the NFL.
Yeah, it's true. But he represents good players everywhere. It's not like those are his only 3 guys. He is the preeminent agent in the NFL. I mean, he has the most stars of any agent probably. So what he knows is that Green Bay's got money. He knows that they have a good roster and they got a chance to win a Super Bowl, and that they're not afraid to spend their money, and that it's not a bad place to go. I think those are the biggest factors. I think the money was an enormous factor, and I think they found out pretty early that the Packers were willing to pay.
Tom Silverstein, Packers beat writer for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Follow him on Twitter, Tom Silverstein. Last question for you. In your mind, where does this put the Packers in the NFC now?
Well, it's right at the top. I mean, I think they're in the top 3, and they have to prove it on the field, but on paper, they're most definitely in contention for the NFC. I don't think there's any question about it. And that kind of expectation is going to be flowing from all angles. Their fan base is certainly feeling that way. I think the media is probably going to feel that way. I think the national media is going to feel that way. And I don't see any reason why it's not. They're a team that's been building gradually, and they were probably one piece away from, being up in the echelon of Detroit and Philadelphia. They were not in that echelon going into this year, I don't think. The only thing that might have changed that is if Philadelphia and Detroit had some injury issues. But I think now they're right there with them. And so, yeah, they're contenders, and they better do something with it.
Yes, they better. Green and Gold update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. There he is, Tom Silverstein, Packers beat writer, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. He's the best. Check him out on Twitter at Tom Silverstein. Tom, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You bet.
You betcha. Take care. There he is, Tom Silverstein, joining us on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM at 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Tom joined us on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Still to come this hour, we'll get to things that we missed on today's show, and time now for your fan weather forecast, brought to you by Utke Heating and Cooling. Still sitting there at that high of 78 degrees. It looks like clear skies for the remainder of tonight and a low of 60. Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Speaking of Wendy's, mornings can all start to feel the same. So if you're looking for a fresh wake-up call, look no further than Wendy's Breakfast. Try a breakfast Baconator with fresh cracked eggs and crispy bacon, a grilled sausage breakfast burrito, or maybe even a honey buddy Don't even think about sleeping on Wendy's seasoned potatoes and English muffin sandwiches. Doesn't matter what you go for, it's gonna change your life. Okay, well, it'll always freshen up your morning. Ready for a fresh wake-up call? It's gotta be Wendy's. And I want to get to these comments made by David Melgetta on First Take. That was referenced earlier in the show. We're going to do it here in this 420 segment. I have another random question for Charlie about life, however. So we talked about today being the first day of school for kids and so forth. And I had the first day of school for my fourth grader today, and the freshman in college sent his first day of school pictures as well. Okay, fine. Dorms. Can we talk about dorm rooms real quickly here? Sure. Now that I've had the opportunity to move a child into a dorm room and knowing all the money we spent to get this all put together and all the necessity he needs and the bedding and all that stuff. Like, how much do you think people really go all in on trying to spruce up a dorm room? Because I saw some pictures online of some girls' dorm rooms that look like a freaking hotel room. Like, I just shook my head. I was like, oh my God, how much? I mean, they had like makeup chairs and mirrors and the whole deal. I was like, how much money do those people spend on that dorm room?
Yeah, that's only girls. I'm pretty sure most
not
guys,
boys?
Not a single guy that I've ever lived with, been friends with, ever spent that much money and time. Usually the things we decorate our dorm rooms with were things that we found like just out and about after a good night out, you know, and you'd find a sign maybe on the ground, or you find a traffic cone somewhere, and that ends up in the dorm room. Sure. You know, that's how we decorated. The only necessity I told my parents I needed was a mini fridge. Other than that, I'd never used my desk in my 3.5 years of college.
Their dorm room comes with a fridge.
Okay, there you go. Easy.
So that's already taken care of.
You didn't even have to get that. That's perfect. I had two sisters who went to college before me, so I had like the fridge. I had a mattress pad and everything that we needed. It was like getting...
We were starting from scratch, so we didn't have all that. Right, yeah.
It was getting a new pair of sheets.
Microwave, Keurig, TV. He brought his PS5 and his monitor, and then all the other crap that goes along with it that, you know, you have to have all the necessities. But I was just like, oh my goodness gracious. I saw some of these pictures online. I was like, what? You're talking thousands of dollars some of these people were spending on decorating dorm rooms. At that point, I was like, man, maybe we really screwed this up. Maybe we really should have done more. But like, I feel like his dorm room looks good based on what I could tell.
Also think about it this way. There's a reason those people put it online. It's because they spent so much money, because they did so much.
They're like showing off.
It's not the normal, man.
It's
what they're showing off.
Exactly. Thank you. I just needed to feel better about what we did, because I was like, man, maybe we kind of screwed our kid here and didn't do enough for him. But again, a dude dorm room, I wasn't thinking it was going to take that much to decorate it to be looking good enough for them to be happy. All right, let's talk about David Melgetta, the agent for Jordan Love, Xavier McKinney, and of course, the newest member of the Green Bay Packers, Micah Parsons. There's been all this talk about Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones having this conversation, which they call hotboxing, where the GM or the owner negotiate a deal with a player, and then they take the deal to the agent for the little legal ramifications of the whole deal and to spruce it up, and then away we go. But really, the player does the deal himself without the agent, and that is essentially what Jerry Jones was being accused of, was hotboxing Micah Parsons, negotiating a deal without the agent. And then when the agent found out, Melgetta found out, he told him to stick where the sun don't shine and be like, okay, I'll tell you what, we'll start from here as the base since you got this far, and then we're going to want more in all of these areas. And then Jerry Jones lost his mind and said, absolutely not. This is David Melgetta on First Take talking about that.
As far as Mike is concerned, he was out of the country. He got a call from Jerry's assistant and was asked to come in to meet about leadership. So when he got back from his vacation, he came in and he gave him a call, told him he was back, he was ready to meet. At some point during that meeting that was represented to him was going to be about leadership, it turned into contract talk. And, if you're a 25-year-old football player and your boss, who happens to be the most powerful person in the NFL, starts talking about contracts, it's hard for you to end that conversation. So they had a conversation. Micah nodded his head out of respect. Obviously, there's a power dynamic that's a little different there. One guy is the owner of the team and the GM, and the other one is Micah Parsons, a young 25-year-old football player. So I'm not sure if there was a miscommunication there by the time Micah walked out, but at no point did Micah believe that he was negotiating a contract.
This is the thing. If you go and read that ESPN story, there talks about a conversation that happened between him and Stephen Jones in which he was asking for sweeteners along the line. So either that part of that ESPN story with Jeremy Fowler and Domofsky, and I think there's one other guy, is wrong, and the source is wrong. And the source in this aspect has to be the Cowboys if they're saying he called back and tried to make this deal. Because according to Melgetta, that he was just nodding his head and really wasn't saying much of anything. That's not how it's being told on the other side of this ledger. And again, it's the who do you believe? Who do you want to believe at the end of the day? Logano had also talked on First Take about Jerry Jones, whether or not you thought he was serious about actually paying Micah all this money.
So that's a loaded question, right? So from an APY standpoint, if you're just looking at the average that was offered to him, I believe it was 40.5 was the offer, which would have made him at the time from an APY standpoint the highest paid. That being said, the way the cash flow was structured over his first 3 new years, he would not be paid as the highest paid player in the NFL. So again, that's why I say the devil's in the details. And another important part of the contract was a 4-year deal versus a 5-year deal, right? When you look at that 5th new year could be the difference in $30 to $40 million for the player. If you look at where the pass rusher market was a year ago, it was at 35 million or so with Nick Bosa. Now it's at 47 million in 1 year with Micah Parsons. So 4 years from now, what do you think that number is? It's probably closer to $65, $70 million a year. And if we lock in that 5th year currently at $40 million, just that year alone is worth an additional $30 million to Micah, if not more. And that's not even counting the raise that he got for the next 4 years, or the fact that the Packers were good enough to us that they gave us the 5th-year option as a linebacker this year as opposed to a DN. So that's an additional $3 million. So, the difference between those two deals you're looking at could be possibly, $60, $70 million when it's all said and done.
The Packers were good enough to us. You don't have to like Goody's drafting. You don't have to like Jordan Love as a quarterback. You don't have to like Matt LaFleur. But I'm telling you right now, it is really good business to be tight with one of the most powerful agents in sports right now. And Goody is. That's how they got McKinney. They got the Love deal done. And now they get Micah Parsons because he found an agent that he got down with and said, I realize if I butter his bread, this could really help me later. And boy, oh boy, did he butter his bread. And what happened? Man, he got a hero sandwich back in return in Micah Parsons. Some GMs don't want to deal with agents. Some owners don't want to deal with agents. They don't trust any of them. None of that stuff. Don't want to deal with them. And those that are like that don't normally get stuff like this to fall in their lap, like this happened here with the agent of Micah Parsons going, we'd like to go to the Packers, please. We're gonna make this work, and getting on the phone and making that deal happen. Because Goody built a relationship and there was a trust factor there, Charlie.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing, I think, in not just sports, but really any job, is making those connections.
And Russ Ball deserves credit, too, because he's the one putting this thing together. So Russ Ball also has to have the relationship. David Mogana. I mean, I keep giving Goody all this praise, but realistically, Russ Ball deserves a big old pat on the back, too.
I don't think people really recognize how important agents are in the grand scheme of any pro sport. I think you look at these insiders that we keep talking about, the Shams and the Schefters who broke this trade. The main source that they usually get their information from is different players' agents, and finding out what those guys know, because those are the guys closest to a lot of these situations on either side. And you have to understand that the managers and the owners of these teams are also working closely with these agents and getting their information from these agents. And the power that those guys hold in these situations is immense compared to what people give them credit for in this. And these are the huge things that I think Brian Gutekunst understands really well. These are the things that I think a John Horst understands really well as well. Matt Arnold that understands these. Wisconsin sports are really lucky that they have 3 general managers that understand how relationships work and work in their favor.
Football Talk on the Fan is presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game live every Sunday on CBS and Paramount Plus all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. Do you think going forward, agents' views or opinions of Cowboys owner Jerry Jones changes at all based on what happened here?
Do you think their opinions, I'll answer your question with another question, were already bad before this Micah Parsons situation?
Yes.
So, no, I don't think opinions change if they were already negative of how Jerry Jones goes about his business. And this is just a more public example because Micah Parsons is the level of player that he is. that people are noticing this more. He did the same thing with Dak Prescott. The fact that Dak Prescott re-signed with the Cowboys was kind of
Prescott
insane.
cut that deal with Jones.
Exactly.
And then took it back to his agent.
He did all this work himself to make sure that he didn't get screwed over in this situation. And that's just insane for a player to have to put that much effort when he deserves the money that they're offering him or that he thinks it should be offered. I think in all those situations, those players were right, and agents understand that. And I think Jerry Jones is just going to keep digging himself a bigger hole. So no, the opinion doesn't change, but it was already pretty bad.
The other part about this is that when you are a general manager or an owner, in the case of Jerry Jones, cutting your own deals, making your own deals, and I've talked about this before with the Brewers, those that try to win the deal normally never get the big deal that they want, because they're always trying to pull one over on the agent on a contract, trying to pull one over on the other general manager in a trade, right? Trying to win the trade. Instead of trying to get the player, you're more worried about winning the trade and looking good when everything is said and done. Or winning the contract, seeing if you can slip one past the agent and the player, so you don't have to pay as much or can get out at an earlier time that they actually want, and you slip some language in there to change it up. That's the type of stuff that I think you deal with Jerry Jones. And that's the type of stuff that will lead to distrust from players, will lead to distrust from agents, will lead to distrust from everybody involved if you're just trying to pull a fast one on them and get the upper hand or the advantage on somebody. Instead of just being like, look, dude, I'm not trying to screw anybody. Like, I just want the fairest deal for you and me, whatever else. Let's just work together with you and your agent and me, and we'll figure this out. Instead of just going about it that way, you got to try and figure out how to work around the agent and make yourself look like a complete idiot.
Well, and the fact that he is doing all of that and then coming out in front of the public every single week on whatever radio show he's on or whatever press conference he's doing that week, and then just blaming everybody but himself, saying that, oh, you know what, we had a handshake agreement. Dude, shut up. It's 2025. People didn't believe in handshake agreements 20 years ago, let alone now. I mean, that's just old news. That's just, you sound like a stupid old man in those moments.
But see, that's the thing, though. I mean, he is old. He does have beliefs. And there are people to this day, and I'm cool with it, that say, handshake agreement is binding or whatever the case may be. And yeah, people lie and are deceitful and everything else and don't believe in that. So you can say he's naive or whatever. I mean, that's just like that one thing that he said about the mama and the papa thing, about how you go to mama and mama says no. So then you go to papa and papa says absolutely yes. And then mama comes around and does what papa says. Whose household has that now? I mean, that might have been the case back when he was younger, where the men ran the roost. I got news for you. Most of these houses now, the women run the roost and the men just do what the mom says. Cause if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. That's how it works today. But again, that goes back to his upbringing and how it was for him. But even back then, he's talking about playing one against the other at a young age. He's talking about playing one against the other. It's no different than what he just pulled there, trying to play Micah against his agent and trying to get a deal done by going around his agent. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I do not understand for the life of me how Stephen Jones hasn't interceded at some point already with Jerry. And maybe he's tried and Jerry just won't let him. But how he hasn't interceded at some point and said, look, Pop, you could still be the face and all that. We're going to run the negotiations with contracts going forward. You don't need to be involved anymore. Like, I'll do it with the finance guy. I don't want involved in contract negotiations. You can still do your radio show, do all your stuff. You do fine. But you're not going to handle negotiations anymore, Dad. Like, that conversation needs to be had, because he's got to screw up even more of these deals going forward. Now, they just paid Bland all that money. My question is this: does he get paid that money if they sign Micah? No chance.
Nope.
And he ain't Micah. Good player. He ain't Micah.
I think Stephen Jones can go to Jerry and say that, and Jerry will look at him and go, "You're fired."
Good, baby. Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. I think that's why Stephen Jones doesn't go and do it. Jerry Jones will tell him, "I love you, son, but you're fired. I don't want your opinion anymore now."
Could very well happen. Q on the north side. You're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live on the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Q, what say you?
Charlie and Sparky, hope you guys had a great long weekend. I'm so thrilled that we got Micah Parsons. I'm actually a Jerry Jones defender. I think you got to respect any billionaire that built themselves from nothing. And like, dude is a legend. And I know this looks like a bad trade today, but how stupid did the Dame trade look? Like, it looked like Portland gave him away when we got him a couple years back. And like, I'm never going to question that we did the Dame trade or that we've done the Micah Parsons trade, but success and failure, like, we won't know for a year or two. And Jerry Jones has a lot more information and insight on Micah Parsons' health and personality than anybody.
I don't care if Micah Parsons doesn't play for the next 3 or 4 years because his back is jacked up or whatever. I'm still not going to say this was a bad deal because the Packers doctors passed him on the physical and said, he's good, let's go. You can be mad at the Packer doctors all you want. By pushing chips in and saying, according to my doctors, he's good enough to go, and then you make the deal, that's still a great deal. Nobody knew Lillard was going to get a blood clot or blow out his knee or whatever the case may be that happened. That doesn't make that deal a bad deal. It still makes it a great deal. You just had bad luck.
So, and I agree. I will say it again. I would never go back and not do the Dame trade. And like, no matter what happens with Micah, I will say that they should have done the trade.
Yep.
But like, there has to be some risk or they wouldn't have let him walk over like $3 million.
There's no risk.
And like,
it's him and the agent getting mad at each other. That's what happened.
I'm just saying, like, there's something that we're missing here. And Jerry Jones is a sophisticated businessman.
He's an old man. He's an old man that's lost his mind. That's what's happened.
That's the easy take.
It is the easy take, and it's the right take.
I say the jury is still out on if this is a successful trade.
Q, let me ask you this. When was the last time Jerry Jones outsmarted another team in a deal?
I have no idea. I'm not a huge
It hasn't
Cowboys
happened
fan.
since Jimmy Johnson was there.
The Dallas Cowboys have had more success in my lifetime than the Green Bay Packers. And they're worth
That's with Jimmy Johnson.
I don't care.
No, since Jimmy Johnson, they go to the, well, actually, Barry Switzer 1 year. Since that era ended, they've done nothing. They go to the playoffs and they lose. That's it.
And the Packers do the same thing.
Well, they win rounds. At least they can say that. And they've been to a Super Bowl more recently than the Dallas Cowboys have as well. Thank you very much. Thanks for the call. I'm sorry. You want to give Jerry Jones credit and think Jerry Jones knows the intricate details of his back and pulled one over on the team doctors of the Packers. You think Jerry Jones is that smart? God bless you. I'm not there. Jerry Jones hasn't done squat other than waste and spend a bunch of money. He spent a ton of money on Bill Parcells. What to get him? Not much. He spent a bunch of money on Barry Switzer. Got him a Super Bowl with Jimmy's guys, Jimmy Johnson's players. What else? He was just unbelievably loyal to Jason Garrett for all those years. What to get him? Playoff berths and losses. Not playoffs and losing in the conference championship games. Playoff berths and losses immediately. Tony Romo struggling to win a game in the postseason. That's what it got him. I don't really get too concerned that Jerry Jones outsmarted the Packers. I'm sorry. I'm not there. Charlie, you there? Are you worried Jerry Jones outsmarted the Packers?
I am not worried that Jerry Jones outsmarted the Packers. I think I look and listen to what Q was saying, and I would say, yeah, Jerry Jones is a smart guy. That's why I was saying before, he sounded like a stupid old man when he talked about this.
Smart business guy.
He's a smart business guy.
Football, not so sure.
And I think that, I don't think he's as senile as some people want to put it out there, that he's just crazy doing these types of things. I think he had a system here, and part of his system was basically shaming Micah Parsons and his agent throughout this whole process into returning to the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that's probably worked with some players in the past, saying that they did the wrong thing and now they want to defend themselves and make it right because, yeah, maybe I did do the wrong thing in this situation. Micah Parsons wasn't going to take that. And I don't think the newer generation of players is going to take that in general because of the type of money that's floating around before they even touch the NFL at this rate. I mean, Jerry Jones, is not a stupid businessman. He's a very good businessman. I think he did know what he was doing in this situation. I think it was just a really bad decision to go about it this way and not give Micah Parsons any room to defend himself with the Dallas Cowboys, only that he could defend himself to the national media, where then you just trashed on him the whole time. It didn't make any sense.
Made no sense whatsoever. Potawatomi Sportsbook makes a lot of sense to and from Brewers home games at American Family Field. Shuttles start 1 hour before the game, go to 1 hour after the game. All you have to do in order to get on the shuttle, same day wager or make a purchase in the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Either way gets you on the shuttle to and from the game. Free parking at the Potawatomi Sports Structure. It's a no-brainer, right? You go down there, maybe he'll pre-gaming, as Charlie and I were talking about, a couple of pre-game beverages in the Potawatomi Sportsbook, maybe make a wager on the game or two, whatever is maybe going on. Then you get on the shuttle, you go down to the game, have fun at the game, come on back, cash in hopefully a winning ticket, and then get in your car and go home. Or maybe you feel like a little craps, or maybe a little blackjack, or a little video poker, whatever the case may be. You're right there back in the thick of things at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel. So check it out today. Shuttles to and from every home game the rest of the season. Go to Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Things that we missed. Coming up next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM, The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. See Sparky Fifer with you Charlie using other side of the glass. Prize Picks, baby. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code SPARKY, SPARKY, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. Again, Packer fans, you know every game counts, so don't miss a moment of the action this season on Prize Picks. Make your picks on your favorite Green Bay Stars and ride with the pack all season long. I'm telling you right now, yes, you can go on there and go more or less on daily stat projections for the week 1 games, right? You can do that, but you can still do the season stat projections as well, as far as more or less on passing yards for Jordan Love, rushing yards for Josh Jacobs, touchdowns for any of the players. Whatever it is that you feel strongly about, go check it out. Download the Prize Picks app today. It's simple to play. Pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. My favorite part of this is the flex play that they invented, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. It's a no-brainer. Go check out @Sparky Radio on Twitter. I tweeted out one of my lineups I put out for week 1. Check it out today. Download the Prize Picks app right now. Use code SPARKY, SPARKY, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SPARKY, SPARKY, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, I'll help you understand how this works. If you play $5 lineups, right? That's, yeah, you can play $10 lineups, $20 lineups. You can do whatever you want. But I'm just saying, if you just say, okay, I'm going to play $5 lineups to start out, right? For $5, you can play 11 lineups before you're out of money with them giving you 50. You literally can play 11 lineups before you're out. So take advantage of it. Do it right now. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code SPARKY, SPARKY, and you will be all set. I want to start off in things that we missed on today's show. And I want to talk about last night's North Carolina football game, because I feel like we have to talk about last night's North Carolina football game. It was a butt kicking of all kinds of sorts. And there are so many cool things, not for Bill Belichick, but cool things that I'd like to mention in case maybe you missed it. Maybe you turned it off, went to bed. Maybe you had money on the game and you lost. Now you were really mad. Okay. North Carolina had never allowed 48 points in a season opener until last night. Bill Belichick had never allowed 48 points in a game in his head coaching career in the NFL until last night.
That's insane. Just nuts.
Number of times Bill Belichick coached NFL teams allowed 48 points. 0 times in 511 games.
That's the NFL, man. Those are the best players in the world. He was playing a college game yesterday. Insane.
Mm-hmm. Not good, right?
No, not good at all.
Not good. When the score was 41-7, coincidentally, Bill Belichick was 41 when Jordan Hudson was 7.
Of course. Why do people need to find the stats like that? I get it. It's still funny. It's still prevalent, I guess, to some degree, but also like it's old at this point. Let's talk. They're in football season. Let's talk about football now.
There was the first TCU touchdown that they scored. Jordan Dwyer had a 27-yard touchdown. Mm-hmm. Somebody took the clip off of TV. The refs are on something tonight. Why is he breaking up the TCU high fives after the touchdown? Literally, they were high-fiving. He came up and separated them like it was a fight and pushed them apart from each other so they couldn't high-five. Never seen that in my life.
That's insane. I know, like, the NFL is cracking down on punishments and on celebrations and giving bigger punishments for that. The NCAA doesn't really need to do that, especially when it's just high-fiving each other. Again, sounds like there's an agenda there.
Yes, absolutely. Bill Belichick is not going to fix anything in 1 year. He's got, 72 new players or something like that? He's not going to fix it in a year, folks. It's just not going to happen. That quarterback ain't the guy. So he's going to eventually get his players in there that he wants. He's going to coach them the way he wants. Now, the question is, will he be there in 3 or 4 years still to coach up the guys he's recruiting now to be in the class next year as freshmen, then sophomore? Then you're talking 4 or 5 years to get this to the point to where, it can be called a top 5, top 10 caliber team every year. I don't know if he'll coach that long. Because I'm telling you right now, if they win like 4 or 5 games this year, that is going to take a huge toll on Bill Belichick.
Yeah, maybe. But also,
maybe. That man doesn't lose.
He doesn't. But also, it doesn't seem like he's taking this UNC opportunity as seriously as New England before, if we're being completely honest. He's selling all these different HBO series or Hulu series, wherever they're going to have the North Carolina documentary.
Why is he doing that?
Because his girlfriend is running everything, and she's running the team basically at this point.
And they need the NIL money.
Yeah. I think, like, from what I'm seeing is he's just completely bought into this college style. And if he's completely buying into this college style, which is what I think Jim Harbaugh did when he went to Michigan, and the only reason I think he left Michigan is because what we learned a couple weeks ago, where they're getting these heavy fines, the coaching staff's getting super fined. If he was still there, he would be probably just kicked off the team for a year at this point because of how bad all this stuff sounds there. I mean, it's an easy gig if you have the notoriety behind you. And Jim Harbaugh knew that. Deion Sanders knows that. And I think Bill Belichick knows that too. So even if your team's not as successful as you want it to be, I think he'll be okay.
Deion loses his first game in Colorado as well. Don't forget, you can always go back, listen to any of your favorite podcasts on the Odyssey app or wherever you download your favorite podcasts at, whether that be the iHeart app, Spotify, Apple, whatever the case may be. We are wherever you want us to be. You can stream us as well on the Odyssey app or watch us on YouTube. Search The Fan Milwaukee. Subscribe, like, sign up today. Share with your family and friends. Spread the word. You want to subscribe, be a part of the Fan family on YouTube. Again, just search The Fan Milwaukee. You'll find us on YouTube. Here's one. How about this? Mike Gundy on radio says Oklahoma State spent, quote, around $7 million over the last 3 years. Quote, I think Oregon spent close to $40 million last year alone. So that was just 1 year. Now I might be off a few million.
Being off a few million's a big number to be off there, Mike.
Dan Lanning responded. The Oregon coach response was, quote, if you want to be a top 10 team in college football, you better be invested in winning. We spend to win. Some people save to have an excuse for why they don't. End quote, Dan Lanning. To which many people on social media said, you have Phil Knight. Shut the bleep up. Don't want to hear about it, okay? But it brings you to Wisconsin. I'd love to know how much the Badgers have spent on their roster this year compared to everybody else in the Big Ten right now. Like, how big of a gap is there between what Ohio State's week 1 roster is making to where the Badgers week 1 roster is making? I'd love to know that. I'd also love to know of the booster wealth that is accumulated for Wisconsin, people that have went to Wisconsin, net worth of all their boosters put together, versus what that net worth is compared to Ohio State, compared to Michigan, compared to Oregon, compared to some of these other people. Like, how far behind are they literally from competing? Or do they simply have a bunch of boosters that don't care enough about football to spend money on football? Where these other programs have boosters that are all about football, living and dying with football. CSMU. That is what that whole university is about. They got busted once for it, and now they get to do it legally. So they're all in. I don't know if Wisconsin is saving money. I just don't think they have the money from the boosters that want to spend the money at the end of the day, Charlie.
Yeah, I think that's really what it comes down to, is you're not getting enough people that are wanting to give back to that program. And I think that at this point, that's kind of understandable. You're seeing a lot of these former players go and be able to do other things with their money and support other areas of this school. And they've tried to support the football team, but it just hasn't worked out as much. According to 24/7 Sports, these are some of the biggest NIL collectives just of college football. Number 2 is Ohio State on that list. If we scroll down a little bit to get to the next Big Ten team, I believe it is Michigan at number 9 here, or number 11, or number 12, excuse me, Michigan State. Number 11 is Penn State. Number 12 is Indiana. Number 19 is Oregon. According to this, their NIL collective is only $10.6 million, which is less than like Kentucky and Arkansas as well. Iowa has a $9.6 million collective. Washington has a $9.4 million collective.
Wisconsin?
Wisconsin is not in the top 25. Illinois closes out the top 25 with a 9.3.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So again, that's why I say, he's talking about saving money. as an excuse of why you don't spend money. I feel like you could use that same argument at Major League Baseball with owners in Major League Baseball. Some of these guys that simply don't want to spend money, and they use that as a crutch or an excuse of why they can't win at the end of the day. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is this Micah Parsons thing that I thought was pretty cool that Dove Kleiman tweeted out. Micah Parsons FaceTimed the young viral Cowboys fan who was heartbroken and crying after he learned that Parsons had been traded to the Packers, a memory this kid will never forget. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. That was really nice of him. You know, again, that's a guy that, like he was saying, said he loved Dallas and didn't want to leave Dallas. Going to Green Bay is a pretty cool spot to go next, but doesn't mean he's not going to have hard feelings for leaving that city.
Correct. One other thing here, I got more than one, but we're running out of time. WAR leaders by division, wins above replacement. I don't know if you saw this yesterday. It was tweeted out. NL Central, third baseman. Nolan Arenado, 0.7. Cabrian Hayes, 0.7. Jared Triolo, 1.0. Matt Shaw, 1.2. Leading third baseman in the NL Central, Caleb Durbin with a 2, which would also lead the NL East as Austin Riley is 1.6, Alec Boehm is 1.3, Mark Vientos from the Mets, 0.5, Connor Norby from the Marlins, 0.2, Brady House from the Nationals, negative 0.2. How bad do you have to be? Gio Urshela from the A's is negative 0.4.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Being a negative 0.4, like 2 is really good. That's a really good number to be at. That's better than I was expecting for Caleb Durbin. I think it just also shows how bad just offensively those three guys behind him are, because Nolan Arenado is an elite defender. Brian Hayes is an elite defender. They just cannot put bat on the ball this season.
That's absolutely correct. And that's a problem. But I thought that was a positive for Caleb Durbin. Also, Preston Zachman, pair of fourth quarter interceptions, result in Defensive Player of the Week in the Big Ten for the Badger linebacker, which I think that was nice to see, right?
It's always nice to see the Badgers get some love when everybody hasn't been loving them this past weekend, even with a win.
2 tackles, 2 picks. Yeah,
that's a pretty good line there. I'd be happy with that too if I was Preston Zachman.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
Anthony Siegler has a 0.1 WAR. Your other favorite, NL Central, 0.1 WAR. So he's positive. He's better than Gio Urshela.
That's better than I thought he had. No doubt about that. Badgers, quickly. We'll get more into the Badgers as week goes on, but not impressed. That's just, your starting quarterback gets hurt. Thankfully, the MRI comes back clean, so Edwards should be good to go play it going forward. Defensively, everybody's like, oh boy, look at the defense. Come on, man. Come on. Miami of Ohio? And do you know what I love the best? The graphic on TV when they were playing the Badgers said Miami University. Stop.
Awesome.
That's what the graphic on TV said, Miami University. Come on. What are we doing? Come on.
Let's sell the game.
Stop. That'll do it. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live on the 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. JR Brief, Sport Brief, up next here on the Infinity Sports Network. Have a good one. Toodles.